There is a stillness that exists above the world, a quiet that you can only find when you rise above the noise, above the traffic and the clutter of daily life, above everything that pulls at your attention. When you look down from high enough, the earth reveals itself in a way that is almost impossible to describe. It becomes something ancient and vast and deeply, deeply calm. Imagine for a moment that you are floating. The ground is far below you. The air around you is cool and thin and perfectly silent. And stretching out in every direction is a landscape so beautiful that it stops your thoughts entirely. That is the gift of seeing this world from above. High in the Canadian Rockies, tucked between walls of stone that have stood for millions of years, there is a lake that seems to have been poured from the sky itself. Its waters hold a color unlike anything else on Earth, a shifting turquoise that deepens toward cobalt in the shadows of the mountains. The glaciers that feed it carry fine particles of rock ground down over countless centuries, and those particles catch the sunlight and scatter it back as pure, vivid color. From above, the lake looks like a jewel set into the gray and green of the wilderness. The forests around it are thick with spruce and pine, and the peaks above are capped with ice that has not melted since before any human being walked this land. There is no hurry here, there never has been. The mountains simply exist, patient and enormous, and the water simply rests in its basin and shimmers. To the north and east, where the Arctic light moves differently across the earth, a chain of islands rises out of a cold and restless sea. The peaks are jagged, cut sharply by glaciers long since gone, and between them the fjords reach inland like the fingers of the ocean claiming what it can. Villages cling to the edges of these islands, their colored houses reflecting in the dark water below them. In winter, the northern lights pour across the sky in curtains of green and violet, shifting and folding over themselves with a kind of lazy grace. In summer, the sun barely sets, and the hillsides glow with a warm gold light that makes everything look lit from within. Fishing boats move slowly through the channels. The world up here has a rhythm set by the tides and the seasons, and it is slower than the one most of us are accustomed to. Cross the width of the world now, out into the Pacific, where the ocean stretches farther than the eye can follow, and the islands that rise from its surface feel like small miracles. The water changes color as it shallows, moving from the deep navy of open ocean to the bright, transparent blues and greens of coral and sand. From above you can trace the reef lines, the channels, the slow curves of the atolls. The beaches are white and quiet. Coconut palms lean out over the water at gentle angles, their leaves rustling in the trade winds. There are islands here where the pace of life matches the drift of clouds across a sky that holds no urgency at all. To sit on the edge of this water or to fly above it and watch the light shifting through it is to understand what peace actually feels like in the body, not as an idea but as a physical sensation. Further into the Pacific, a chain of volcanic islands rises from the seafloor with slopes draped in green, so deep it is almost black in the shadows. The waterfalls here are legendary, dropping hundreds of feet from cliff faces into pools that churn white before settling. The coast in places is jagged and dramatic, with waves striking the lava rock and sending plumes of white spray high into the air. In other places, the beaches are long and smooth, and the ocean arrives in long, rolling lines that catch the light and fold forward with a sound that covers everything else. This is a landscape of extremes held together by a kind of tropical abundance that feels almost generous in its excess. Across the other side of the world, where the Mediterranean gives way to the Atlantic, archipelagos of volcanic origin sit in warm currents, their landscapes shaped by ancient eruptions and centuries of wind. The cliffs here are dramatic, falling straight into blue water, and the interior landscapes move between green valleys and bare volcanic peaks. Light moves differently here than it does in northern places. It is warmer, heavier, more golden even at midday. And from above, the contrast between the dark volcanic soil and the pale stone and the vivid blue of the surrounding sea creates a palette that looks almost too beautiful to be real. The southern edge of one of the world's great continents presents a coastline of remarkable variety. There are bays where the water is turquoise and the beaches stretch for miles without interruption. There are headlands where the waves arrive in long sets from the Southern Ocean, having traveled enormous distances with nothing to slow them. There are limestone formations standing in the water just offshore, carved by millennia of wave action into shapes that seem almost deliberate. The skies above this coastline are often dramatic, with clouds building and light changing rapidly. And from above you can see the full sweep of it, the way the land meets the ocean in a line that curves away until it disappears. Moving inland to the high desert country of the American Southwest, the earth opens up into something extraordinary. Rivers have spent millions of years cutting through layers of sandstone and limestone, revealing the deep history of this continent in the colors of the canyon walls, red and orange and cream and purple and brown. The formations here have names that reflect their shapes: arches and windows and needles and fins, all carved by water and wind working patiently over enormous spans of time. The light in this landscape changes the appearance of everything from hour to hour. In the morning, the shadows are long and the colors are cool. At midday, everything is washed in brilliant, harsh light. In the evening, the canyon walls glow as though lit from within, a deep red-orange that fades slowly as the sun drops below the horizon, and the stars begin to appear in numbers that are simply not visible from anywhere with artificial light. To the west, the land falls away toward the ocean in a different kind of drama. A coastline where mountains meet the sea without any compromise, where the cliffs drop hundreds of feet into the Pacific and the road clings to the edge of everything. The forests here are ancient, containing trees that were already old when European explorers first saw this coast, their trunks so wide that it would take many people standing hand in hand to encircle them. The light that comes through these trees is filtered and green and very soft. Mist comes in from the ocean and settles among the trees, and the whole world becomes quiet and damp and enormously peaceful. Farther south, the coast opens into wide bays and the city gives way to beaches where the water is calm and the light reflects off it in long horizontal lines. Sailboats move slowly. Pelicans glide in formation just above the surface of the water. The air smells of salt and the warmth of a place where the sun arrives with a kind of casual abundance. What all of these places share, seen from above, is a quality of indifference to the human world that is not cold or hostile, but simply honest. These landscapes existed long before people arrived to name them and photograph them and wonder at them. The mountains were building themselves and the rivers were cutting their channels, and the coral was growing in its warm, shallow water through spans of time that make human history seem like an afterthought. And they will continue in one form or another long after all of us are gone. There is something in that fact that is genuinely comforting. The world is old and large and has been making beautiful things for an almost incomprehensibly long time. When you look at a mountain or a coastline or a canyon from above, you are looking at evidence of that patience, evidence that the world does not rush, that things of extraordinary beauty can emerge from slow and steady processes working over vast amounts of time. That stillness is not emptiness. It is simply a different kind of fullness. So allow yourself this moment. Allow your mind to rise above whatever it has been holding. Let the images carry you to the lake and the fjord and the island and the canyon and the coast. Let the scale of these places put your own concerns into a gentler perspective. You are alive in a world that has been making itself beautiful for billions of years. That is, when you stop and actually feel it, a remarkable thing.